Welcome back to Recreational Sniper. Today I'm going to test out some Alco 175 grain rebated boat tail ultra low drag bullets. I'm going to shoot 3 rounds of Berger 185 grain to make sure we're good and zeroed, and then we'll start testing with the Alcos. Going hot. Alright, so it looks like they're shooting about 3/4 inches low and about 1 inch to the right. This first string of Alco bullets are 43 grains of BLC2. .2407. .2453. .2421. .2432. .2478. Next 5 are going to be 43.5 grains. .2440. .2426. .2452. .2437. .2430. I'm gonna let the barrel cool.
For a second.
Yep. Alright, now that we've got the barrel cooled back off, that last group that I shot was opening up, and I believe it was because the barrel was getting a little too hot. I took the temperature. The exterior of the barrel was at 120 degrees and chamber temperature was at 100. It's now about 95 degrees on the barrel and about 88, 87 degrees in the chamber. So I'm gonna do 5 more rounds at 44 grains and then we'll let it cool again for about 5 minutes. $25.18. $24.57. $24.92. $24.72. $24.86. So we'll let her cool back down a little bit, and then we'll shoot some more. We're going to move on to 44.5 grains. $25.26. $24.66. $24.92. $24.89. $24.80. So that group's actually looking a little bit better. Hopefully one of these will come in tight though, and the extreme spread will really tighten up. Maybe in the next 5 rounds, or maybe the next 5 rounds after that. Still no signs of pressure. Alright, I'm moving on to 45 grains. It's $25.38. $25.52. $25.27. $25.30.
Yes, sir. Living the dream.
$25.05. Appears the group is opening up, so maybe it doesn't like going that fast. I do have 5 more rounds loaded at 45.5 grains, and we'll see how they do, and then we'll take a look at the target, and we'll try to make some adjustments for powder load and maybe seeding depth. Alright guys, I was looking at our target down there and it was looking pretty poor, so decided to go back through and retorque everything on the scope, and I actually found that the top caps on the scope rings, the screws that were in those were actually a little bit loose. They were still tight enough that I don't think the scope, you know, like you can't physically move the scope, but I think maybe under recoil it was moving around. So everything's retorqued, scope base, bottom scope rings, and then the top caps. Maybe that was my whole problem so far, maybe not. We're gonna find out, and then we're gonna loot these targets because maybe having a stability issue of some sort. Maybe these bullets aren't quite stable like they should be in my rifle. Or maybe I've got some issue with the brass, because, you know, like when I reloaded this brass, I didn't anneal it, and then I didn't turn the necks on it or anything. So could be some issues there. Currently this load is at 45.5 grains. The maximum load, as far as the book data goes, is 46 grains. So far there's no signs of pressure or anything, and we'll see how this goes. Going hot. It's 25.36. $25.79. I think we're probably about the maximum load on this because the bolt is feeling a little heavy. $25.22. $25.51. $25.82. I think we're running probably just a little bit too much powder there. And as far as that group goes, it's not looking any better. So it seems the higher I started getting up in the powder, the worse the group is getting. So need to go back and look at the first group that I started with, around 43 to 43.5 grains, somewhere in there. Play with that, charge a little bit, see if we can get it to dial back in. The next time I reload this, I'm gonna probably try turning the necks on the brass, and then maybe doing the primer pocket and uniforming and flash hole uniforming, and see if that helps any. Probably also going to try annealing the brass as well. Maybe that'll help. But I'll go get these targets and we'll take a look. I'm going to put up one more target and shoot a few more rounds of the Berger 185 grain bullets and see if the group comes back in, or if maybe I've got some other problem I can't figure out. Alright, so just so you guys know what I'm talking about with these targets, and the group's not looking so great. This is the first group that I shot with the Bergers, the first 3 shots, just to see where my gun was zeroed. Made some adjustments, and then moved on to the Alco bullets. The first group with the Alco bullets at 43 grains. You know, I got a couple shots here, but then one down here, one off toward the edge of the paper there, and then one way up high. So I don't know if I'm having some sort of issue with the brass, or if the bullets just aren't quite stable in my gun. And then the second group was at 43.5 grains. Don't know exactly, but I think these shots and then part of that one, there's 2 rounds went into that hole. And then the third group at 44 grains there, and they're all shooting higher than the Bergers, but that's because they're going a little faster, and they have a little bit higher ballistic coefficient than the Bergers. Moving on from there, the last 3 groups. This one actually shows a little bit of promise, and this was at 44 grains of powder of BLC2. And then when I went to 44, is that right? 43, 43 and a half, 44. Actually, this is 44 and a half grains. And then 45 and 45 and a half were totally all over the place. So maybe this is something to look at that 44 and a half grain powder charge. Looks like it actually may be pretty promising, but again, we've got some sort of issue here because they're nowhere near shooting the way they should be. And I think either it's going to be a stability problem or it's a reloading problem. There's something that didn't get done right when I reloaded or resized and prepped the brass. So next time I'm going to try annealing the brass and then resizing it, and then turning the necks on the brass and all that, and just go through everything that you can basically do to a piece of brass and clean it up as good as possible before we test out any more. And then we'll come back and see if that changes anything or if we still got the same problems. But just to make sure I'm not having some sort of barrel issue or anything, I'm going to shoot another 5-round group with these Bergers at the 100 yards, and we'll see how it goes, see what kind of group I get, just to make sure that I'm actually not having a rifle problem. What'd you say? Yeah. At least it's just...
That's good, though.
Yeah.
It's pushing your bullets down, though.
Yeah, making them go faster or something. These are factory Federal Premium Gold Medal Match, loaded with 185 grain Berger Juggernaut bullets. It's 2,471 feet per second. $24.89. $24.78. $25.22. I'll let that one cook in the chamber a little long. $24.78. Target, and we'll look at it. Alright, so here's a look at our 5-shot group with the Berger 185 grain Juggernaut loaded in the Federal Premium Gold Medal Match. So clearly I'm not actually having a gun problem. It's shooting about 1 inch, 1 minute of angle. So each one of these squares is 1 inch by 1 inch, and you can kind of tell that's about a 1 inch group. And that's probably about as good as you can expect from a $700 to $800 off-the-shelf Ruger American rifle. Again, this is a 16-inch 308, and so it's not going to have the best velocity, and it's not maybe length of barrel will affect accuracy as well, but most of the time it doesn't really affect accuracy. So the issues I'm having with the Alco bullets is probably likely a reloading issue, something with the brass. Maybe I bumped the shoulder back too far or didn't bump it back enough. Maybe I didn't trim it far enough back, because I ended up trimming it to 2.008 inches when the, I think, recommended trim length is 2.005. So the next time I reload this brass, I'm going to try annealing it and then trimming it back to the proper length, and possibly even turning the necks on the brass, and then maybe primer pocket uniforming and flash hole uniforming, just to see if all that stuff together may make it, may pull these in tighter. Other than that, if that's really not the case, that maybe these bullets are not stable in my rifle, could be, but I don't know. There's a lot of other people that use the same bullets in similar rifles with, same twist, same rate of twist and everything. I believe mine's a 1 in 9, and these are supposedly stable in a 1 in 10, so I shouldn't have any stability issues there. But they are not grouping very good overall, so we've got to go back to the drawing board and do a little bit of reloading. One other thing that may be a factor is the powder that I'm using is Hoshin's BLC2. Originally it was a military grade powder, and it was used for loading 7.62 by 51 NATO. And back then, before it was made commercially available to reloaders, the way it was being used was loading military loadings, which are typically 150 to 162 grains, sometimes 168 grains. So maybe it's not the appropriate powder for a 175 grain bullet. With that being said, we gotta see what we can do, change some things up. I'll try, like I said, fully prepping the brass as much as I can, and making sure I do every process as best as I can, and then from there, if it doesn't work, then we will look at changing powder, and maybe powder and primer combo, maybe going to a standard large rifle primer. The primers I was using today are large rifle Magnum primers, and possibly maybe that's not the right combination with this powder. Maybe, because as far as traditional loading, the powder, that kind of powder was usually used with the standard large rifle primer. But we'll see what we have to do, and we'll see if we can get it to work. It just didn't work out today.